So these water makers are all different. I'm going to go over quickly how they work, right? Everybody, I'm sure, knows the basics of a water maker. You take seawater and you make fresh, right? On this boat, we're pulling the seawater in through the sea chest here, and then it comes up to this boost pump, right? And the boost pump is there to push the seawater through the filtration. And the filters are here. There's two. Actually, this boat with the sea recovery has a pre-filter to take out basically sand, seaweed, anything, any large particulate out of the seawater. And then after it goes through the pre-filter, it goes through this oil-water separator. So that if there is any emulsified oil in the water, it'll get caught in this filter here.
Now, are those like pleated filters?
This one's pleated, and this one's like looks like almost a mesh inside there, and they need to be changed, I'm sure. It is on the list of things to be addressed.
I have to service it. Yes.
Okay, so we'll probably change these. There should be some spares on board somewhere.
Yeah, you just moved them.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay. So. And from there, the water is pushed through there by this boost pump, pushed through the filtration, and that gives us positive pressure on the high pressure pump, which is down inside here. The high pressure pump is what generates the 800 psi in the membranes. Now the membranes on this boat are where, Rob?
In the last,
Are
or
they
the
back?
muscle or the last, no?
Yeah, I think they're in the lab.
Okay. So,
Most 62s, they're in the last or the muscle.
or under the seat up here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so when you turn on the unit, the boost pump and the feed pump, which is the high pressure pump, and then you increase the pressure by turning this knob up, you can get the pressure up to 800 psi, and then you get product water coming out through this filter here. There's a carbon filter in here that takes out any smell out of the water, because even though you take out the salt, you can still get smell. There can be nasty smell inside these filters if they've been sitting for a while, and the carbon filter will take that out. There's a UV sterilizer here also to kill any other bacteria. I personally don't think you really need a UV sterilizer, but people put them on because they think that it's necessary. It can't hurt.
Can we touch on the fact that sometimes when you're turning those black knobs, it will go past about 800?
If you turn this knob too far and you go past the 800 mark, probably if you go above 850, there should be a pressure switch in there, a high pressure switch, and it should just cut off. It's not a good idea to do it, but if you suddenly find that you went too far and the unit shuts off, then this light will probably be on here, high pressure warning light. Back it back down again, hit stop and restart it. But yes, if that pressure switch isn't working, you could damage the membrane, so it's not a good idea. When you're turning it up, make sure that you stop at 800, right where that piece of tape somebody put on there. The reason I'm going through this is I'm getting to storage and preservation of the membranes. The membranes are the part of the unit that can get damaged. If these filters get clogged up and nasty, you take them out and throw them away. You spend $30 to get another filter. Or maybe a little bit more for these big ones. But if the membranes get damaged, then you're talking $700 plus all the labor to take it out and replace them, right? So the membrane is the most vulnerable part of the system. What damages membranes is chlorine, chemicals, oil, and bacteria are the three major components that damage membranes. We've got this oil-water separator here that takes oil out of the water. If you're running the boat in a harbor where they've got a fuel dock, especially a place where, down in the islands, perhaps where they're spraying joy or detergent on the water and emulsifying the oil and dropping it down, if somebody has an oil spill and sprays it with, that's a bad place to be running your water maker. The best place to be running your water maker is out in the ocean, where the water is clear blue, right? And you're not going to have to change the filters very often at all. But if you are running it in harbor, which is okay, just make sure it's not near a fuel dock and make sure it's not near where people are pumping their bilges, right? Now, so that's oil. If there's a little bit of oil in the water, this filter will catch it to stop it from getting into the membranes. If you leave the unit sit for a long period of time with seawater in it, inactive, then it's going to grow bacteria. Biological growth will also kill the membranes. It gets in there and it clogs up the little pores inside the membranes. The membranes basically are rolled up pieces of fiberglass that have little tiny holes in them, and those holes are just big enough to let fresh water through, but they're too small to let salt through. Right? And minerals and stuff like that. I mean, nothing gets through those holes except fresh water.
Pure water.
So when you do run the water maker and fill your tank up, the water in your tank is perfect for washing your car or a boat. But it has no minerals in it, so when you drink it, you're not getting what you would get when you drink normal water out of a bottle. It's pure water. It's better than anything that you get off the shelf. Pure wise.
Are there usually valves that you have to adjust
To get it to the tank?
Yeah.
So this unit and most of the units that we have automatic dumps. So on this unit, if the cylinder, this is the salinity meter here, and each light is 100 ppm, parts per million. Right? So if you've got 3 lights on, you're at 300 parts per million.
Yes.
This unit, if it comes down under, I can't remember this top mark,